thank you for joining us today. We're here. My name's Mark Scott. I'm from 5 Star Mortgages, and I'm joined today by Marta and Tracey, and we're here to talk about the first-time buyer journey, because Marta and Tracey both love to help first-time buyers. So perhaps, Marta, you can say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. I'm Marta Scott Manuszewska. I'm a founder of 5 Star Mortgages. We're a brokerage firm, so as Mark said, it's 10 advisors, 3 administrators. I've got lovely Tracey here with me today, and we the brokers that do everything, but as Mark said, we love a first-time buyer. So
we do love a first-time buyer. I'm Tracey Scott, so I'm a senior mortgage and protection advisor and head of commercial. I do love first-time buyers. I just love the journey with them. You know, you start the process at the very beginning, and you get to see them right through to buying their first house, which is one of the most exciting things they can do. So
yeah, you can remember buying your first house.
I can remember buying my first house many years ago.
Yeah.
I remember the stress, but having a good mortgage advisor takes that stress away. So
did you use a mortgage advisor when you bought a first house?
I used a mortgage advisor through the estate agent, so with our very first house we bought.
Yeah.
They were okay. They weren't. I don't remember having a great conversation with them or great deal of communication. I think to begin with we had a lot, but I think very quickly that kind of eased off, and if you don't know what's happening, it's a bit nerve-wracking, isn't it? So I think just knowing someone's there to support you through the process makes a massive difference.
Yeah. So as you didn't get that level of communication, you think that's an important characteristic?
100%.
That's what you do?
100%. You know, first-time buyers have no idea what they're doing, do they? It's
they don't.
A journey, a huge journey. It's an expensive journey. It's a huge commitment for them for many years to come. And I think just knowing that you've got someone who you can phone up with what you think is a silly question, you know, who's going to guide you with whatever answers you need to help you through to moving in day and getting your keys.
Yeah, nice. And what is it you like about first-time buyers then, Marta?
I just love the fact that they very often come in and they don't even believe that they can buy a house. So it's just very exciting for the clients and ourselves to take them on that journey. And I just love the fact when it's all coming together towards the end and they excited about getting the keys. And
it's the excitement.
Yeah, it's the excitement. And
you quite like a box of chocolates at the end.
I do love a box of chocolates. Yeah. But, you know, that means that we're doing something right and the clients are grateful. So,
absolutely.
At what point when somebody, a first-time buyer, has the idea to buy a house, at what point should they come and speak to a broker, or what should they do first?
I mean, I would be happy for them to come to me instantly.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they've got an idea. If they've got friends who've gone through the process, I think they've got an idea of what they have to do first. But sometimes you can have no idea at all. You know, parents may not have bought a house for 20 years plus, may not know the process. So actually, if someone comes to me even right at the beginning, not having a clue what they need to do as first steps, that's okay with me, because you can help to give them that information on the kind of things that they need to start getting together, you know, and give a bit of a time scale. It might be a couple of months down the line. It might be that you're with them for kind of a year or so, just getting that to the stage where they're ready. But I think sometimes they need that guidance. Sometimes they've got an idea, but sometimes they have no idea, and they just need that guidance of...
Yeah. So by coming to you early, you're going to give them a plan, you're going to give them that confidence. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. So, Marta, when somebody's coming in to see an advisor for the first time, what do you do to prepare them for that meeting? What do you ask them to do in advance?
So, first thing I'm always discussing with the clients is, have they got a copy of the credit report? Okay? A lot of clients wouldn't have a clue about first-time buyers, how important their credit rating is.
And the things that are on there that are important.
Correct.
They all focus on that number, don't they? And
correct, yeah. So it's not just a number, it's the full report that we need to see.
So when you say the number, you mean the credit score?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the screenshot of a credit score is not good enough. We need the full report. And then, that, as Tracey said, that helps us to guide us through the process, because then you combine it with the second question is how much deposit you've got available, isn't it? And that instantly would give you an idea, is this going to happen, or do they have to wait a little bit longer? So if it's a low credit score and low deposit, we know that this is going to be a longer journey, because the clients will have to work a little bit harder, either to get a bigger deposit or clear the debts, things like that. We help them to
Yeah.
even
Or it's maybe
explain.
looking at different lenders, isn't it? It gives
Correct.
you more of a guide as to which lenders we need to look at as well.
So I would say
So what
3
are-
things. Sorry, Mark,
go
just
ahead.
really quickly. So credit report, proof of deposit, and income.
Yeah.
So let's move through those. Going back to the credit report.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all about the score, it's about what's in the credit report. So what are you looking for? What are the pitfalls that you see that first-time buyers trip up on?
So 2 things really. So it could be that they haven't got any credit and their credit
Yep.
score is low. Okay, first time buyers with no credit.
Often
So what-
younger people, aren't they? So they don't have any
Anything
credit
So
So
card
what would you,
loans.
how would you resolve that problem then, or what would you
Obviously we
recommend?
would recommend to go on the voters roll, increase the number basically on that credit report. Or as Tracey said, you go to the lender that doesn't necessarily
Knows, yeah.
have a problem with the lower
Yeah.
credit score, isn't it?
Sure.
So, and the second of all is if there is any defaults, any CCJs, any late payments, you just sit down and explain it to the clients, because the clients, most of them haven't got a clue.
So a default,
Means
meaning what's the default then?
so anything that is to do with the
So a default where a first-time buyer has started a credit agreement with a finance
Provider of some
company
kind.
Correct.
or a telephone comms,
Yeah.
very often.
or even if they're in
Telephone, car,
rented and they've
car
done the gas and
insurance.
electric, if they haven't kept up that,
Correct.
then the provider will register that they've failed in that agreement, and that will be marked as a default.
Yeah.
So it's-
CCJ, then you're looking at car parking.
Car
very
Car
often.
parking
Yeah,
as well.
everyone's favourite, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that's
But
one we get
again,
most often.
we can do it with the car parking. A lot of companies would ignore it to a certain extent. So it is about sitting down and explaining to your potential customers
importance
that
of- yeah.
this is the situation and this is how we're going to deal
Yeah.
with it. Okay.
And actually, one thing that I've started recommending to a lot of first-time buyers who don't have the credit, just because they've not had those loans and credit cards, Experian Boost. And that's a newer thing that I've picked up on, that a lot
Yeah.
of my first-time buyers have now started to
Oh, that's
use,
cool.
because it will pick up on things like if you've got a mobile phone in the background, or something that they link with your bank accounts. They'll
Yeah.
look at other payments, gym payments, for example. So they'll be able to use those, make sure you're paying on time, and they can use those to boost
Yeah.
your credit.
That you are
And
And
running
it does
your,
make a difference.
Yeah.
running
does.
your account in good,
Yeah,
good
even
conduct.
rental payments, isn't it? The regular
Absolutely, yeah.
payments, yeah.
Yeah. So just
Okay.
for those people who don't maybe have that credit because they're young, they've not had loans, credit cards, it's a really good way of kind of starting and just boosting that score to get to a point
Absolutely.
where you can then use those kind of high street lenders.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to deposit, because I think that's a long talking point. Let's
Yep.
talk about income. So what does should we start with employed and self-employed? What would an employed first-time buyer need to bring to you in terms of their income?
So we would genuinely ask for 3 months bank statements,
Mhm.
3 months pay slips, P60,
Yeah.
ID, just verify.
And what are you looking for on there? What income types do you take into account?
Wow,
Everything.
everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
depending on the lender, yeah, it's
Yeah.
commission, bonus, overtime.
We can take people that are permanent employment, agency, 0 hours, bank staff, Mark, you name it.
Yeah.
We pretty much can do everything,
We-
isn't
yeah,
it?
there's a lender out
So
there
if
who will
someone's
do everything.
working under agency, don't be shy, come and talk to us. If it's slightly different criteria, we would require 12 months
Yeah.
pay slips, but
Because I can remember back to buying my first house, and I went into a branch of the Woolwich.
Let's go back a bit.
my
That's a
goodness,
long time ago.
disclose your age now. So.
Yeah, and I remember they looked at my pay slips and they said, you can't get a mortgage, and we were so distraught at the time. But a broker then helped us find the lender that worked with the pay slips.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's good.
basic, and as Tracey said, absolutely everything.
And
Shift
what
allowance.
if somebody's just started a job? How does that affect things?
It doesn't necessarily.
Doesn't.
I mean, there's lenders that will take you the day you start a job. There's lenders that will take you take future income. So teachers is a good example. So if you've got a contract that starts in September and it's kind of July time and you're looking at getting a mortgage, there are lenders out there that will use that income for a mortgage, knowing that you've got that contract in place.
Absolutely, salary increase. If you're due to a
Yeah.
salary increase, we can use that. So there are lenders that pretty much can help
Yeah.
regardless of your
Fantastic.
situation.
And what about our self-employed friends? How do
self-employed a little bit longer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, ideally, to cover most lenders, 2 years self-employed accounts. But there are lenders that will take you with 1 year's self-employed accounts.
Yeah.
But in terms of evidence, we're going to need those tax calculations, the tax year overviews for the last 2 years if you have them, or a year if not. Company accounts if it's a limited company, company bank accounts is another thing. We need to see bank statements as well.
And a lot of self-employed people are very good at doing what they do, but they're not necessarily good with the paperwork. So what can you do to help self-employed clients? Do you speak to their accountants, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'm always happy. I don't know about you. I'm always happy to have a chat with the accountants. I always say to all of my clients when I see them, if you need to pass my number on to estate agents, to accountants, if it's easier for anyone to come to me directly to clarify documentation.
Absolutely. And remember, self-employed, they are very busy people. So, you could have electrician being out all day, every day, including weekends. They might not have time to speak to the accountant. So they could you do it? And we're more than happy to help. So on that note, self-employed tradespeople, CIS contractors, we can treat them as employed as well. So if you've got 12 months history of contracting as a CIS, you could be treated as employed, which is interesting, and not that many people know about it.
So CIS, that's when you're
Scheme.
self-employed, but the person you're contracting underneath, they're deducting the tax and paying it for
Correct.
you.
Yeah.
So you get almost like a pay slip, but you
Almost,
still
yeah.
hand them into your accountant at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that's where sometimes it makes a huge difference between your CIS kind of slip versus your tax return. So
Nice. Okay, so we've covered off credit score and we've covered off income to a certain extent. Obviously, there's lots of variations of income, but what about deposit then? So where do people, when should they come and see you? How much deposit does somebody need to save up to be able to come and see you?
I mean, I get first-time buyers who come with no deposit at all. Generally, we say 5%, 10% is great, but there are lenders out there that will accept all sorts of different variants of percentages of deposit depending on
Correct.
the circumstance of the client themselves.
So in general, the bigger deposit, the cheaper the interest rate. However, as Tracey said, being a first-time buyers, sometimes it's difficult to get 5%. So there is a lot of new initiatives that like 100% deposit with Skipton.
Yeah.
And obviously it's calculated based on your rent that you're paying at the moment.
So,
And
so if to get 100% mortgage, you have to have rented a property then?
correct. You need last 12 months. So obviously they're going to look at that. Also £5,000 deposit with Accord mortgages.
Yeah.
So not 5%, 5,000.
Yeah.
And a lot of lenders, as Tracey said, they are prepared to talk to you. There are options available if you're buying off your landlord, for instance.
Yeah.
So you can use a discount.
Absolutely, gifted equity. So the landlord can give you a percentage of the value of your property, and that becomes your deposit.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of just funding the rest. So in that circumstance, no deposit needed.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is that deposit shouldn't put people off coming to see you. You're happy to
Absolutely
see
not.
them,
Yeah.
and then you'll work with them to find either a scheme, or you'll tell them what deposit they need to save up to achieve what they're trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's about knowing as well that they can, sometimes family members are happy to gift a deposit. So things like that. There are lenders that are happy to take deposits from family members if they're gifting.
Nice.
There's lots of other routes that we can go to look
or
at
even
deposit.
non-family members, isn't
Non-family
it?
members,
Your boss could
yeah.
give you a deposit.
There
If,
are lenders
there's
that
a
will
nice
take
one.
friends,
if you've got
Don't go in asking for a pay rise. Ask for a deposit
for
for
a
a house.
deposit, yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
So there's lots of options on
Don't
there
be put
which
off.
is great.
Don't be put off, because a misconception is that you have to have a deposit. I think, as Tracey said, come and talk to us. Even if you haven't got a deposit, there is always a solution.
Nice. So these are all the documents and the stuff that they should prepare. So what do you actually do with a client then when they turn up in where do you see the clients? How do you see clients these days?
I see clients at our Corby office. I love being in the office, so I love when they come over and see us. However, more and more clients want to see us online as well, which is also available.
Yeah,
so
online, and I'm quite happy to go out to clients' houses. People work 9 to 5. It's not easy to take time off to go and see a mortgage advisor. So I do find more and more that actually I'm getting appointments in the evenings to go and see people as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes on a weekend.
So that's your big USP over people just dealing with their bank and building side.
Yeah, absolutely. We're there at a time that suits around commitments, children, after school clubs, work.
Absolutely.
There's so many things that can hinder your opportunity.
You can't call your bank at 8 o'clock in the evening just to ask that question, isn't it? If you're worried about something, you can just pick up the phone or WhatsApp
us on a Saturday night.
That's it.
You don't get those responses from a bank.
No.
So tell us, how long does a first meeting last, and what is a first time buyer going to experience when they turn up to one of your meetings?
So first time buyer meeting vary, Mark. Some clients do know quite a lot, some just haven't got a clue. So we usually ask for documents, as you said, in advance. So pretty much we know what to expect, but we need to complete something that is called a fact find. Get all the information, hard facts, soft facts, a lot of discussions around various subjects, but genuinely it's about an hour to an hour and a half. I do love a good chat with the first time buyers because it's not just about a mortgage, it's about explaining the whole process. How does it physically work, the mortgage, the conveyancing, the sales process. Sometimes you even have to tell them how to put an offer on a property. So it is not just a mortgage. So, but genuinely, before they leave, I want them to know how much they can borrow, and how much it's going to cost them, just to give them an idea based on their deposit, based on their age, how much, because that's what they want to know, what my mortgage payment roughly going to be.
So when people come in to see you, at the end of the meeting, they're ready to go out.
Absolutely.
Looking at houses,
yeah. Because we have to prepare something that is called agreement in principle or decision in principle. We don't do it in the meeting, but once the meeting's completed, we pretty much got everything to get that document. We then email it to the client.
So what is that then?
It's just a confirmation of how much they can borrow, and also the estate agent know that we've done a credit check. And the client is actually a serious buyer.
And that's so important, isn't it? Because some estate agents won't put an offer forward without that document. So, and it's something that we can get relatively quickly from that first meeting. So it's just something that gives, like you say, the estate agent that confidence that actually, yes, these people are serious. They have got the affordability to be able to buy this house.
They've spoken to a mortgage advisor and they've been pre-approved for a mortgage.
Correct.
Yeah, nice. So, how do you interact with the first-time buyer when they're out and about looking at houses?
There's a lot of communication, I think, through the entire process, isn't there? So, I mean, sometimes I'll get first-time buyer that they'll send us quite often. We'll say, if you look at a property you quite like it, send us the details. Often you can get questions asked. Little questions, we always give them little tips about, if you're going to visit during the day, make sure you go back at night, check out the area in the kind of around the estate, see if the parking, see what the parking's like, see if there's lots of noise. It's always very different, isn't
I've done it myself.
Daytime and evening, it's very different. But you can get clients call you when they're at a property or just finished a viewing saying, I love this one, this is the price, can I get it? What do you think? What are my monthly
What do you think I should offer? And they do ask us this questions, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So what influences your answer when somebody says, what do you think I should offer?
I always say look at the Rightmove or Zoopla, see when the house was first put up for sale. Have there been any reductions? It's obvious that if someone put a house on the market yesterday, they're not going to be prepared to take 10k less than it's advertised. However, if there is a property that's been on the market for quite a while, the clients maybe get cheeky and put a cheeky offer.
I always say first-time buyers have got a great advantage, haven't they? Because they don't have a chain below them. So if it's someone who wants to sell quickly, they can be motivated to take a slightly lower price from a first-time buyer, knowing they'll sell more quickly without that chain than a slightly higher price from someone with a chain below.
Absolutely. Do you know, it's a very interesting point, because I very often say to the clients, go and sell yourself. Tell the estate agent that you've seen a broker, you've got a deposit, you've got a solicitor, you're ready to go. You're not going to mess them about, isn't it? And then if you pass that message on to the vendor, you know that they might be prepared to take an offer on a property. But you have to tell them, give them that boost of confidence and say, look, go and sell yourself to the vendor, isn't it?
So it's not just about finding the mortgage; it's also about giving you that confidence, that plan.
Absolutely.
You're the people on their side when it comes to buying that house.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the estate agent is acting for the seller, right?
Yeah.
They're acting in their best interest. Yeah. So.
And we look after the first-time buyers, isn't it?
Yeah. So once that haggling process has been done and an estate agent has agreed and everyone's really excited, what's the next step? What does a first-time buyer then do?
So if the offer's been accepted, come and speak to us again. Give us a call. Drop us an email. Let us know that offer's been accepted. If we haven't already got details of the property, we'll want to get details of the property. So I always say to the clients, Rightmove ad, send me a link to that. Or if you've got an estate agent's brochure, just something that gives us just that little bit more detail on the property itself. But we can very quickly, because we've had those documents initially, we've had those initial conversations, we can very quickly then just kind of confirm to clients, first of all, this is now the interest rates that we've got as of today. This is what your monthly payments will be, because we've got a much more definitive answer on how much they need to borrow, because those first conversations are very much based around how much you can borrow. This is more kind of focused then, isn't it?
This is your mortgage, isn't it?
So we can give them a much more kind of definitive, this is what you'll be paying monthly, and we can very
so you do that at another meeting, or
absolutely. There will be a meeting. We will discuss the options, and I think we will just then I'll be honest with you, 9 out of 10 first time buyers go with fixed term rate. So obviously that means that they're going to fix at their mortgage for a period of time, usually 3 to 5 years. Okay, but we will then discuss those products again, make sure that they're happy with everything, discuss the term. Again, probably, as Tracey said, depends on the purchase price. We will then...
So the term being the length of time someone pays that mortgage back over 25, 30 or 30.
And remember, sometimes...
Even 40 years nowadays.
Sometimes it could be months between one first meeting and the second, isn't it?
It was about a year and a half. Because it took that long for those first-time buyers to get themselves in a position where, that they did have a bit of deposit saved, because this was pre-100% mortgages. They couldn't find the property they wanted. There were quite specific areas, so it can be a very long time.
So in that time, the rates could have changed, the circumstances could have changed, isn't it? And another birthday would have passed. So sometimes you just...
So you found a house. They've come in to see you. They've agreed on a new mortgage illustration deal, or whatever product. So you submit the mortgage on their behalf, and what happens? How long are they taking to process at the moment?
Oh my goodness!
Love that question. I mean, they can be very quick. They can take a long time.
So what's very quick?
Could be a day if you're lucky.
I mean, sometimes
you have your mortgage offer. So that's it. When it's formally offered and you've been 100% approved, lender confirmed that they're happy with the property.
And there's lots of things, aren't there, that are involved. So some people, valuations, some lenders will have to go and do a physical valuation of the property. That can take anything up to a week to get someone to go out and value that property. They can do a desktop valuation, so their PC tells them what that value is. That can also very much determine how long that offer is going to take.
So as I said, could be a day, could be a week, could be 3 weeks. Depends on the lender, depends how busy the lender is, depends on the rates, depends on the, even estate agent, how quickly someone is available to let that surveyor in to the property. So, there is so many things that we have no control over it, unfortunately.
So the mortgage offer comes out. So at what point does first-time buyer start working with a solicitors, and what's your thoughts on the different types of solicitors that are available?
I mean, I always say to my clients to start thinking about solicitors once they see that property. We need to have details of who that solicitor will be for the mortgage application. So we need to get a couple of quotes together. Sometimes clients have solicitors that they know. If not, we have people that we can get quotes from and can recommend from panels. With each lender has a panel. So you have to find a solicitor that's on that panel as well. So it's very much about making sure. I've had a couple of clients who've come to me with solicitors that are family, their family have used for years. They're not part of a panel for the lender, so we have to look elsewhere. So we always say we'll double check if we're not sure. We'll get that sorted at application. But we can do a lot of that work with them for solicitors as well. I think that's important to know. We can support a lot during that process as well.
So there's a cost there over and above the deposit. So what's the typical cost these days for solicitors that first-time buyers need to budget for?
Well,
Depends
on
property
the
price. It depends on locate. There's lots of things.
Depends if it's a leasehold.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
give
a
give us a range. Is it
1,500 to 300?
Yeah, I mean, I would say 1,500. It depends on stamp duty as
Yeah.
well. First-time buyers obviously have that slightly better allowance for stamp duty, which is good. But so generally, I would say 1,500 is kind of the minimum I've had.
Yeah.
It can go up to
3,000.
potentially 3,000-4,000 depending on the property.
Depends
price
on the
again.
property.
Yep.
So, but also it's just to point out that some clients don't want to instruct the solicitor until they've got a mortgage offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there
so
are
you know which solicitor you're going to use, but you don't necessarily shell out any money until that mortgage is agreed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
That's okay.
so once a mortgage has been offered, what do you do? Do you interact with the clients anymore?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're there, for
That's us.
potentially for the rest of their lives. But
Five-star
certainly until
mortgages,
they move into the house,
we look after them till the absolute very end.
So what would be your next meeting then after a mortgage offer? Why would you
I
meet
would
with them?
call them and
Protection
to book
meeting?
insurance. So obviously you need to have a building insurance. It's a must. You can't really buy a property without building insurance. So I would definitely get clients in to come in and discuss the options. And during the same meeting, we would look at life insurance, critical illness, income protection. We'll look at what they actually receive from work, what benefits are available for them through their employer. But genuinely, there is another meeting and another conversation. So
and you love your income protection.
I love my income protection, absolutely. I'm one of the
Marta's moment of
absolutely. So pleased to share that I am one of 7 advisors, which is Income Protection Task Force initiative. So promoting awareness and obviously promoting awareness of income protection. But
so you sort out the insurance. So obviously the solicitors doing their bits. I mean, I hear horror stories about how long it takes to buy a house.
Some are quick. If you get, it's all about a good solicitor. If you can get a good solicitor, it can make a big difference on the time scale between getting that offer and moving in.
Yeah.
Especially on days like today when there is a stamp duty deadline, isn't it?
So what we're talking somewhere between sort of 2 weeks and 6 months. Not 2 weeks, 2 months to 6 months. Would you say is that a good range?
I would say
budget?
Yeah. I've
obviously it
some
depends if the property's
quicker, which is
empty.
good, but
quickest,
generally,
the quickest I had was 6 weeks, but we had some that were like 9 months.
Yeah, it can take a while, and again, it depends on the property. If it's a new build, it can take longer. If it's an older property, sometimes it's a little bit quicker.
Yeah. So somebody moves in, they get their keys. When do they make their first payment? How does that work? If they're moving out of rented and they need to, when do they make their first payment to the mortgage lender?
So it's down to the individual lenders. Some lenders charge in advance, some lenders charge in arrears.
Yeah.
So we normally would advise the clients to stay put. Don't panic. You get the keys and then wait for the letter from a lender that will write to you and tell you exactly when the payment's gonna be taken. So
they list out, don't they?
So
but they do have obviously when we submit the application, we always ask what's your preferred date for the direct debit. So we put that. But I would say first payment could be a weird one. Could be month and a half.
Could be almost double. Because they take it quite a while after the mortgage kind of starts. But they'll always specify that in the letter, won't they? They'll tell you this is your first payment date, this is how much we'll take, and then every payment from there will be on this date and this amount. Yes. So they'll clarify all that for you within a couple of weeks.
Cool. So that's kind of like the journey then, I suppose. Yeah. So if we was to summarise that then, what is your biggest top 2 or 3 tips for a first-time buyer? Tracey, you go first.
Don't be afraid to come and see us early. If you don't think you're ready but you want to start the journey, come and see us. There's a lot of things we can do to guide you with regards to things like your credit report, things like your income, your deposit. So I think it's important that people are not afraid to ask questions as well.
Yeah.
I often get told, I think this is a silly question. I think for first-time buyers, there is no silly question. I think every question is valid because you don't know the process. So I think, never be afraid to use us. To just bounce those questions off if you're not sure about things.
And that's from the very first meeting all the way through.
From day one right through until you move in
and
beyond.
Marta, what about yourself? What would be your
I
top
would
tip?
say don't assume that something can't be done. Just come and talk to us. There are things that there's always a solution. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't sit there and say, "Oh, I wish I could buy a house," but something. Just don't assume
Absolutely.
that things cannot be done.
There
So
we go. That's fantastic.
yeah,
So there we go. So if you're a first-time buyer and you want to speak to one of these two great mortgage advisors or any other of our member teams at 5 Star Mortgages, there's another 7 or 8 of them now,
yeah,
give us a shout and we'd be happy to help.
yeah, absolutely.